So today I'm talking about what's possible with EFT. EFT is emotional freedom technique where you tap. So there's tapping spots, most common, or both. Then you have different opposite side, and then you have on your fingers. Some of them you go on the other side. I don't even remember exactly. And then the wrist. And there are other ones on the meridians. And you could do it on either side. Like I just did it on one. And sometimes you may feel like a release, sometimes not. But I wanted to explore like relationships, and there were some difficult memories I had, so I used EFT to help me through. So you can use this in different ways. Sometimes you could do it with establishing new beliefs. Sometimes you could use it to heal old wounds. Sometimes you could do it just to feel very strong emotions that were kind of stuck, as a way to introduce some kind of a disruption in the regular patterns. Something new could come in. Okay, I'm going to read now from what I learned within the last 2 years that I did this workshop. So I was realizing I'm overly focusing on a relationship, which makes me feel unproductive, claustrophobic, and powerless. It creates a sense that my well-being doesn't matter, and isolation is the only solution. It doesn't matter to anyone else. I realized I'm really, by the way, a lot of this stuff I wouldn't have been able to see in myself if I didn't have some sort of technique to give me the insights to help me break through. So this is why I'm saying I managed to accomplish this introspection and this self-recognition, and then all that came out of it because of and I did it at a workshop with Jennifer Partridge. Okay, so I was really struggling with helplessness to bring love to the self-sabotage, kind of self-success sabotaging pattern, but it's worth my care. It's possible I can be successful on my own. I remember my dad trapping me on the Sabbath, on Shabbos day, the Shabbat lunch, at the table to sit with him. He wanted me to eat the cholent, and I had to be good company for him, even though he wasn't good company for me. And I had to appease him, make sure he was approving and enjoying, but maybe in general he was so busy with hobbies and other things, and he didn't care about the well-being of my mother or us 3 girls. The cholent I couldn't eat. It was like an overnight stew, and I just would gag, and he would try to force me to eat it. I escaped into books and projects. No one, served or checked on me. I was guilty so much for everything, and no one asked how I'm feeling, if I need anything. I needed consistency and care, though, not for it to be unreliable, unfair, or mood dependent on the parents, but I needed to not be abused for wanting attention. I was craving a response, not a reaction. No one said sorry or tried to do better for my sake. That's when I stopped believing that I could do any better in making someone care about me or accommodate me. And I always had to prove I really needed what I was asking for. There was no forgiveness or grace, so I stopped believing that I'm worth it. I was overly criticized. I needed to not be left hanging or mistreated because I didn't want to be accountable and responsible. I was worthy of affection, gentleness, caresses, sweet names, generosity, preemptive support, being catered to, accommodations, fair standards, allowed to not struggle, merciful judgment, an open mind, a listening ear, credit, honor, reception of my wholeness, whether it's strong, weak, recognition of my efforts and challenges, patience, reliable love, and gratitude. I wasn't ever a favorite, yet I still tried to also never choose favorites. My father and mother had no one to rely on either, no one to unconditionally love them, and they sabotaged themselves for a relationship, shrinking from stepping into success. They couldn't give consistent love because they never had been in that environment either. They had to prove and convince and couldn't let their guard down or take up their appropriate space. And I can either keep betraying my trust if I want to, trusting the untrustworthy, loving who uses me, staying irresponsible, but I want to let it go for a better health, home, sanctuary, better livelihood, income, job, a good relationship, and for the sake of the future, to have play. When I was thinking about the future in this way, I was thinking of play, safety, symmetry. I get to create peace with my wholeness. It's why I'm here, to be full embodied freedom. I get to create luxury for myself. I have so much power guiding it and so much life force pouring into it. And when I think of that, it's relief, it's abundance, it's protection. My projects can be successful and I can rely on and trust a trustworthy partner. I can be consistent with my responsibility. I'm able to feel soft, free, and well. I believe there's enough care. And I'm saying yes to I can handle it. And then there was a friend of mine named Avraham Becker. We talked about Tahara. And I realized that there's this guilty until proven innocence, and then there's innocent until proven guilty. And in Judaism, we don't talk always about, there is this idea of innocent and there is this idea of guilty, but there's a more important idea called Tahara and Tova. And it's loosely translated as pure and impure. But actually, it could also be clean or unclean. You could kind of use it to say innocent or guilty, innocent or guilty. But really, it's this idea that we have to own our own power and produce children for the right reasons, and direct contact without an intermediary, and listen fully without responding reactively, and consciously be God. And that's a way to stay in that Tahara state, in that sanctified, holy sort of, the natural holiness can be, it can be unsanctified by being exposed to death or carcass or something gross. When I say gross, I mean not gross like the large, like the gross income or gross, product. I'm talking about a slang word. What I really meant was crude, something that swarms, something disgusting. And there are some things that are by nature always Tahara. Like there's a Kedusha, which is holiness, and it's separated. And then there's Tahara, which is like in a pure state. So it could become impure, and then it can revert back to its purity by either waiting a certain amount of time, naturally, it just goes right back, or by, immersing in water, and then it goes right back. And a tool I had, which is basically there's this top down and bottom up. I think bottom up makes me think of body up, and top down makes me think of like head down. So this idea of trust the thread. And I'm going to do this in the body. So we have the head, which is like trust the thread. It's like a mini meditation we're going to do. Trust the thread that we're held on to, that is holding us. The strongest thread in the world. Stronger than any thread in the world. That's like our crown, that we're held by a thread. Our whole world is held by a thread. Then we go to the right part of the head, and it's let go of worldly intermediaries. Then the left part of the head is stop hiding. Then we have the torso. The torso is show fully up. Show up fully, be fully present, fully here. The right arm is choose I can. The left arm is all for different interpretations. Or consider consider that there's all different interpretations. Make space for all different interpretations. Allow for different interpretations. Then we go to the pelvis. The pelvis is bring infinite and limited to connect. So you have infinite and you have limited. There's this gradient, right? Gradient means like graduated, like it's a different concentration. You could have the finite and the unlimited, or the infinite and the limited, to connect in the flow gradient. This is how the idea of something from nothing, right? Something is finite because it's definite, it's defined, while nothing is unlimited. There's no way to know how much nothing you have. And the right leg is consider the trajectory direction. Basically your destiny, kind of. And the left leg is consider your origin coding source. And the feet is consciously balanced on one foot, then consciously balanced on the other foot, then consciously balanced on both. And then we have this idea, a lot of people like the idea of the chakras, or we could say it's like this hidden dimension we call das in Hebrew. And this is to align the polar radiation. And you'll notice that in this case, I did a top-down approach, but you can use this tool to do bottom-up approach as well. This tool, the reason I spoke about, Tahara is that it is possible to return back to our innocence or our purity, even if we were made to feel like not. Like I shared about what I learned in my tapping session. And then we can use these tools to maintain insights and wellness into being ourselves, the best version of ourselves, for play, safety, and symmetry, for relief, abundance, and protection.